Hello and welcome to COMP3218 Game Design and Development, to our first coursework's Let's Play. I'm Adrienne Chapman, a lecturer on the module, and with me today is...
Hi, I'm Callum, and I'm one of the demonstrators on the module.
Excellent. So this is our first coursework, and the students were given a brief to develop a game, design and develop a game, in which they displayed level design, tutorials, and had a very clear core dynamic. So let's get on to our first game, see how they did. All right, our first game is Puzzle Prison.
So I don't know how easy it is for you to read because I guess over the video it's a bit compressed. But I will say the font they're using is not the easiest to read, particularly when it's going this fast.
Yeah. But it's a very nice little narrative piece in the very beginning here before the gameplay. I'll give them that. But do think about kind of the speed and the readability for the next set of games.
And yeah, as you say, they're sort of starting to teach you through the narrative by saying, "Oh, I'll use darkness to cover. I just can't get caught." Okay. So we've got
music.
We've got some music. We've got presumably a prison cell, which
black block over you.
Yeah, I think that's a minor graphical glitch. I don't think that's a big issue.
Space.
So it does say space at the bottom. I did not notice that until just then. It's quite small. Oh. Okay. Oh, okay, so our vision can go through walls? That's interesting. Can I open this door? No. So I can look through the walls, but not through the door. You pick the wallet up off the floor. Okay,
I didn't even know there was a wallet there.
There's cash card and a note. The note reads decode.
Yeah, that's your read with
47237. I think we might have. Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. We can go back to it if we forget.
I've already forgotten.
I gotta say, whoever this character is, they have a real hunching problem like that.
Yeah, I was actually struggling with the way their left ankle moves, but you know, we're good. We're good. I'm sure he's doing fine.
I've already forgotten. Let's.
Yep.
47237. Okay, this is like having to fill out two-factor authentication code. Someone's coming. I need to hide. Guess we can. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm right here. That gets very loud. Oh, okay. So wait, if I. Wait, is the guard gone? Is that
is that a bathroom next to you? Like, where are we now? Oh, that's
okay. So we're still where we were before.
Yeah.
But the guard appears to have disappeared.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm still not sure if we're supposed to be able to go through that, because when we walk over here, that looks like a wall, but then it disappears, and you can go through it. Oh,
yeah,
you can go through that wall as well.
Yeah.
It looks like there's a corridor here, but we can't go this way. So they've clearly tried to have some sort of like field of vision effect him. You can only see, or you can only see certain parts of it. Second bathroom that we can walk through. And I've tried to do these before in Unity, and they can be very tricky to pull off properly. So
what's over by the refrigerator there?
We've got some letters, which I think that's an MT. Is that supposed to be a door? Am I supposed to be able to go in there? Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, see from the outside here. That's quite awkward to work out. Oh, there's something hidden behind
Space,
it.
there's something there.
Where are you? Ah, jeez. Okay, go back over there. BGMT. How does this? How do I adjust these?
Yeah. No clicking, no up downs.
Oh,
yeah.
wait. Oh, you have to hit, you click on these bits. So wait, it was BG T. I know how the alphabet works. You remove the lock and open the locker. Signed. Confiscated. Cool. Ah! I don't think that was supposed to happen. You find a lockpick. Okay, nice and straightforward. Never used one. How hard can it be? Oh, interesting. Oh, what? How does...
Oh.
Okay, so... Oh, it's following my mouse, at least to some extent. Oh. Can I bring it further down? I pushed it too far up. Oh, you just have to... Wait. I think there might be a little bug with that lockpicking minigame. There was something... Wait, I missed something that was about guards.
There's more. We're out of solitary. I have a feeling we might have finished the tutorial section in some way.
Oh, there's that incredibly loud anger noise.
Which we've now learned to associate with a guard coming, so we were taught.
Okay, so when we go over here, I'm gonna risk the very loud throbbing. Because if I go and stand over here behind this wall, the guard catches us before coming around the corner.
Yeah.
So I think... Wait, am I barefoot?
You are.
Surely even prisoners are given shoes. Okay. Right. Is there going to be something over here that I need? That is very loud. Especially given that he's on the other side of this gap.
Just gone in a circle now, haven't we?
Yeah, I thought maybe there might be something hidden up there, but no. I will say, this feels very slow.
Right, so you keep going. I think it's time for us to start kind of walking through the marks criteria for this.
Okay.
So let's, in the first part, we talk about kind of the quality of this game. And in this case, we talk about presentation and meaningful play. And within presentation, we're looking at things like the graphics, the audio, information design. And in this case, there's definitely audio. The audio is actually, I actually think, kind of nicely done. It's tied to some of the gameplay in this case.
It's very loud.
But it is very loud. And in the same token, the graphics themselves, they fit, they kind of match. There's no weird assets, different asset pack. But at the same time, there's a huge flaw around the graphics themselves where it's hard to tell where doors doors are. You can't see, which hallway the guards can see through walls. There's definitely something kind of not quite right in.
It's got a consistent look, but it just behaves very strangely. Oh God.
Yes.
I'm also not sure if this sign was meant to be readable or not.
Yeah. So information design wise, I actually kind of like that there's a lot of information that's presented kind of buried within the images themselves. And
go back up to it. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Interesting. Okay, that would explain why I thought there was a problem with the lockpicking in the last room.
right.
I just didn't fully understand how the system works.
How it works. Yeah. So I think in this case, the
Where is it
graphics,
coming
the
from?
audio, the
Where is he
information
coming from?
is somewhat flawed within this piece. Let's talk a little bit about kind of the meaningful play, which includes the mechanics, controls, and bugs.
He's chasing me.
I am struggling to identify whether the graphics are just kind of bugs or graphic problems within this. Yeah, I'm not sure if we've seen a bug or if we've seen kind of just odd, graphic oddities.
I think they've attempted to do that sort of wall cutaway thing that you get in games like The Sims, where it shows you through walls where people are. But it's not really. Oh wait, we're back in this room. Okay, but it's not really pulling off what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
It's
How about the controls? It is much more confusing. How about the controls?
So the basic controls of walking are fine.
Okay.
And that's really annoying. But the controls of these mini games, for instance, the lock-picking ones, are not made super clear.
Yep.
And the controls for the little tumbler thing that for putting the
Yep. Let's talk about mechanics.
That took a long time to work out.
Wow, the noise of this is so loud.
Where is this guard coming from?
So let's talk about the mechanics here, right? So you can walk around, you can pick up clues from various places, and then there's the lockpicking game. Is that the set of mechanics we effectively have here?
Yeah, so you've had the lockpicking, and putting things in the keypad, and the sort of rotating lock thing. That's what we've seen so far, at least.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like this is like a fairly simplistic design of a game in terms of the mechanics. The mechanics themselves don't really interplay with each other to create a meaningful play. They exist. There are some mechanics, but
I can't tell where this guard is.
Yep. But yeah, I think it's few and it's challenging creation of meaningful play in this. So let's talk about fulfilling the brief, which includes level design, and that includes goals, risks, reward, and pacing.
Mm.
So I think the goals is actually fairly easy. Get out of this prison break. I'm struggling a little bit with the risks and rewards. So, like, let's actually take this little mini game. There's nothing to stop you from just trying all positions. There's no kind of risk or reward to finding the lock pick that fits the right thing first. You're going to read prime numbers for dummies?
Is that going to be important later? I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, we haven't.
Do you see any interplay between risks and rewards? I'm not seeing a lot of agency here, except for the ability to walk away from the guard.
Okay, I got caught, apparently. Yeah. So far it's been, there's one way to solve each room. Go find this, put in the code, work out which direction the guard's moving.
Yeah.
Which is very difficult, because I can get caught without ever seeing where the guard actually is.
Yeah.
And also, apparently, while I'm trying to interact with the mini games, which is, I don't know, I've done and screwed it. Right, there we go.
Yep.
We fixed
So
it.
I'm not seeing any real attempt at goals, risks, or rewards in this case. Like, there's no path around that would be more guards but less lockpicks, or more lockpicks but fewer guards, or I don't know. There's no guard dogs walking around that you can bribe with meat, or you can use the meat to fuel yourself to go faster. Like, there's no trade-offs, right?
That was not the solution. Okay.
So
yeah.
What do we think about pacing?
It definitely rises in difficulty.
Okay.
So I think this is the first room where you can actually... No, there was the first room, but the guard disappeared, so that made it much easier. But this room, there is a guard that moves in a predictable way. This next room, there is an extra guard, and I have no idea how to solve it. Which I guess is a form of difficulty. I'm not sure that I would say making it difficult to tell where the guards are and what you're supposed to be doing is a great way to handle this.
No.
It feels like I should be going to that door, but every time we've got a calendar up there. There was a book about prime numbers, but I put some prime numbers in. I put the first 4 prime numbers in and it didn't like it. I'm fairly sure I know what the prime numbers are.
So tension does rise over time.
Especially with this music, dear God.
Let's move on now towards the next part of our criteria, which is around the tutorial. So in this case, I actually kind of enjoyed that they made the tutorial getting you out of the solitary confinement wing. So you were playing parts of it, and they very clearly demonstrated to you that the guard has its noise attached. They demonstrated how the pins work. They demonstrated that you have to look around to find things to punch in a key code.
Right, okay, wait. Oh, wait, that's all of them. Are they including one? No? Okay, run! No. The noise starts, but I'm already too close for it to run away from them.
Yeah.
Whereas here, the noise starts when I'm completely safe, which is annoying.
So in this case, I actually think that there's a nice gradual explanation of gameplay and controls that is aligned with play. So I think they actually did a pretty good job in the tutorial of what this was.
Which level is that at? I also wonder. I'm now starting to think that this sign might have been important. I'm not sure.
So I'm pretty sure that the tutorial level was when you broke out of solitaire. That it was a nice, easy level where there was one guard, there was one set of, the lockpicks, there were only 2 things that you had to solve, those types of things. And then it got harder once you came out of solitaire.
Hide in this corner. Sounds like he's gone. Oh no, he's getting closer. That's just a calendar. I don't know. Does prime numbers for dummies have more information for?
So what do we think the core dynamic of this game is?
I would guess it's a... Am I safe here? Okay. I'll be honest, I'm not really sure. I don't...
Yeah.
That is the only other piece of information. There's a prime numbers for dummies, there's a calendar, and a number pad.
And, it's getting loud again.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I actually think this is one of the major problems with this. So as of right now, I actually don't know that we're experiencing a game, right? At this point, there's no agency, there's no goals versus rewards, there's not even that many mechanics, there's just running. You could maybe get chase and evade out of this because of that guard and the way the light comes around, right? You might be able to get chase and evade, but even that's not right because there's not things to hide in. You can't run fast from the guard.
Yeah, and it's also the indications of where the danger is.
Yes, is not lined up properly. Exactly. So unfortunately,
what is the code for this?
Some of the problem with this game is that the team itself did not have a very good understanding of core dynamic. They thought that the core dynamic for their game was lockpicking, which if you go back and listen to some of the lectures, you'll know that's not actually a core dynamic.
I mean, we have picked 2 locks.
We have, but
we've
again,
also
not a core dynamic.
Done a lot of other stuff.
Yep.
Can I follow him around? Sorry, this is going to get very loud.
It's going to be very loud.
I don't even know what happened there. Okay.
So let's talk about feedback. Go to a nice quiet area, and we're going to walk through the feedback really quickly. So the feedback for all of our games, we ask the students to develop or design a game. They present it to lecturers on the module and demonstrators on the module, and they get feedback, which they are then requested to write about, both the feedback they were given and what they did about it. So here's their feedback and response. They first made a prototype out of Python, which involved pin selection and moving. So I think that's kind of the lockpicking part of this game. They showed the prototype, and the feedback they received from their friend, not from a module developer or lecturer, or demonstrator or lecturer, was that the pins were clunky and unintuitive, and the pins were too close together, making them difficult to count. They did, however, state it was a fun puzzle. From this, they decided to redesign the puzzle so the user can understand how it works from playing it and to improve the design visually too. So they reduced the number of possible pin levels and the number of lines, spreading it apart for readability. They did a lot of work around pin selection and how you move the pins in order to solve that puzzle. Unfortunately here, so they did not actually get, it looks like, any feedback from a member of the module team, which would have identified the lack of a core dynamic, would have identified that there's no goals versus rewards, or identified things that could have changed in order to make this a playable game.
So I personally don't remember seeing this game or talking to this team in the labs. Some of the others might have, but it may be the case that they just didn't come to any of the lab sessions and so weren't able to get that feedback.
Indeed, but it is one of the requirements. So they're told they must come to a... So I think we're basically that where feedback is not really reported or addressed. I mean, good job getting somebody to play your game. I highly recommend playtesting with lots of other users, but that is different than the feedback we were asking for. Great. So let's move on to our next game.
Sorry, can we just with the meaningful play part, what were we settling on there?
So for meaningful play, we were talking about how there are mechanics, but they're not very, there are very few of them. There's basically walking, looking at codes on the wall, typing them in, and the pins. The controls themselves, particularly around the pins, are not they're a little clunky, although walking is fine. And we can't tell if there's graphic glitches or if there's minor bugs. So we're kind of that this game is playable, but that's it, playable. Okay?
Yeah, I think that probably fits fairly well.
All right, let's go on to our next game. All right, and now we're going to play Ultra Cube Guy.
So they're giving us a level select, which I like because we do often get stuck on things.
Yes. Are the yellow and blue things just pretty pictures, or were they a thing as well? A and D to move. Okay.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. I think I remember which game this is. Oh, that is. So it says avoid the spikes, but I will say the camera is quite low, so it's kind of hard to see the spikes.
And it moves when you jump, and whoa, you dead.
You is dead. I mean...
I'm struggling with the camera movement on this with the jumping.
Yeah, it's somewhat... I would say disorient. Yes, I remember this. This is the team that had a slight problem with the jumping, where if the midpoint is just a little bit over the edge, you can't jump, which makes it really awkward to get the correct height. I'm gonna leave that.
Alright.
I don't know, it looks important because it's shiny and yellow, but...
It's shiny! We want it! But yeah, leave it. Keep going.
Click space to flip the gravity. Oh, maybe I can go back and do it that way. Ah, no. Okay. Oh, now I keep going to press space to jump. It's interesting that that's... Jesus. I could not see those spikes. It's interesting that that works, even before they tell you about it. Which is interesting, because it feels like that's the correct way to get this thing.
Yeah,
but
it does.
Presented as a jumping puzzle.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to go back to get it with this new thing. It should be presented in front of you after you learn about the new thing.
Press S to jump when upside down.
Oh
Why?
no, why can't we just do W? Come on, why?
Oh, that's so confusing. Oh. Okay. So, no. There is definitely an issue with this camera in that it is both a little bit, I mean, I don't tend to get motion sickness, but I can imagine anyone who did would find this camera impossible to use.
Yep.
And also, just because of the way it's set up, you cannot see
what you're gonna fall into.
What's behind you. So, I have no idea what's there.
Yep.
Oh no. Oh man.
Great. Well, while you keep playing on this, we're gonna jump straight into the marking criteria.
And I'm gonna jump straight into the spikes.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk a little bit about first quality around presentation, which is graphics, audio, and information design. And then we'll talk about meaningful play, which is mechanics, controls, and bugs. So in presentation, I mean, there's audio. It's seems like a generic background noise. Do I also hear little beeps when you jump and things, or am I mishearing?
Now there's a little pop noise.
A little pop noise. So the audio is quite nice. It's
There's a little
workable.
sound when you die.
Oh, great! Death sound is always good.
There is
the
no
graphics...
sound for changing gravity.
Gravity.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yep. Now, the graphics, I think, are somewhat problematic, and by the graphics in this case, I don't mean the asset pack chosen. I mean the camera angle.
Yeah.
As we've said, it makes the game completely unplayable. Very poorly chosen in this case.
I wouldn't say completely unplayable, just really hard.
Yeah. And then information design. Well, I mean, we've seen through words that the coins are optional. When you get the coin, does it show up anywhere that you've gotten a coin?
No. It also only shows coins are optional after you slammed into the spikes.
Dead, huh? Right. So I think there are some problematic pieces in this that there's some inconsistent elements about when information is shown, how you are expected to navigate through a board where the camera is moving and you can't see where you're going.
Damn it.
But the audio is very nice.
It is. There's also the slight issue where you sort of walk behind the signs, but not the base of the signs.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
It's not a big
So
issue.
not a big one, that one. Let's talk about the meaningful play, which is mechanics, controls, and
Ooh.
bugs.
Interesting.
I don't know
So
that I've actually seen...
If you hold W after jumping, you actually move slower. Not sure if they were aware of that or if it matters, but it's just an interesting thing I've noticed. So what were you saying?
Well, I was going to go on to meaningful play, which is mechanics, controls, and bugs.
Ooh.
Which you were talking about controls right there, weren't you? So in this case, we've already had 2 points coming up around controls that were not necessarily our favorite. So the one is about if you W and then W again, or continue holding W, you go slower. But the other one was, why in the world would you have to press S to jump if you are upside down in gravity? So this means a hand movement change, which is not necessarily natural. Do you, otherwise though, are the mechanics, do they feel okay?
Well, I've just learned that you can sort of hover in the air. So the controls are a little awkward. So after you jump, there's sort of a very brief pause.
Yeah.
And having a jump and then also having space do something completely different is really hard to deal with, because space is the jump button. It's so ingrained in me.
Jump button. Yes, it is. So we've got some really awkward controls here. Now let's talk about mechanics. So the mechanics that I'm seeing here, you can walk, you can jump, you can flip gravity, which I quite like on that. It's a really cute little spatial reasoning puzzle that you can build with the flipping of the gravity there. Are there any other major mechanics in this world? You can pick up a coin, but the coin does nothing for you, at least that we've seen so far.
Yeah, there may be more if I can reach
Yeah, there might be
them.
more if we could ever get past this particular level.
This might be a case if we need to skip to level 2 at some point.
Maybe.
Although if we can't get past level 1, then that's not a great sign for the tutorialization, which we'll get to later.
Yep.
Yes.
So I'm seeing a few mechanics and awkward controls in this particular game so far. And if we see any more later, we can come back and revisit that.
Yeah.
So moving on.
I think the biggest issue is, as we said before, the camera just is so awkward. Oh no! All right, Okay, no. So I can't leave the level. I think I'd have to close the game to try the other level. Oh wait, no. If I die, I can go back to the menu. There we go. Let's move on.
Good. So we're going to talk about.
Let's see.
So, as part of fulfilling the brief, we need. Some paths are more perilous. Yes, all of the paths are perilous when you can't see where you're going. So we have a question
Ah.
on goals, risks, rewards, and pacing. Ooh, blue triangle blocks can be pushed. Okay.
An
So
extra
is this
mechanic there.
an extra mechanic here? Yes.
Slide quite a long way. Do they do anything other than... Yeah. Oh, okay.
So
I'm so bad at this.
yeah, well, so there are a few more mechanics here, and we can say that there are a few mechanics. I don't know that they're particularly integrated into the game yet because we haven't been able to get all the way through this. Let's talk about goals, risks, and rewards. So the goal, I think, is to complete a level. I don't really see that there's a time limit or there's a set of coins that you have to collect a full number. Although we haven't actually succeeded at this, so
Interesting.
maybe there's a screen at the end. So at this point, actually, one of the things I feel we have to say is about play testing. So I feel that many of these problems might have been identified with some play testers that are not necessarily the developers, right? Because you as developers know exactly where those spikes are and what's coming up, and exactly how far along an edge you have to be before you can not hit the jump. You need to have this tested with a range of players to see where people fail. And I will bet you a Coke that most of them would say, I don't know where I'm going with the camera angles as is.
You've also got the
what can we do with orange blocks?
That seems unfair. It was perfectly safe. Yeah.
What do the yellow blocks do?
So apparently they respond to the shift in gravity, which the blue blocks do not.
Yes.
However, when I then press space, to try and flip it over, and immediately threw me into spikes, which is kind of annoying when I'm trying to learn how to use something.
Absolutely.
Alright, now I have to press S to jump. That's okay.
Okay, so I'm going to actually.
There are spikes down there. Okay.
I am going to upgrade their mechanics because I actually think at this point they're showing us some actually kind of interesting mechanics that are indeed linked together, right? So they're complementary mechanics. Now that doesn't in any way invalidate the awkward controls, but it does start bumping them up a little bit higher in the marking grids.
I'm not sure if this was intentional, but it is a lot of fun.
Let's see.
If there are spikes below me, I'm going to be very mad. Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen any evidence of a risk or reward at this point?
So there's that sign that says some paths are more perilous.
Yep, but have you seen any alternate paths?
No.
Yeah.
There's the path that kills you and the path that teaches you how something new works. And
yes.
No. No. Okay, I'm gonna stop trying to do that. I'm not skilled enough to pull that trick off. Occasionally, I do get stuck, so there, it just stops moving. No idea why. Maybe there will be branching paths later, but you would expect that if there are, they would be immediately after the sign that says, "Oh, well, I pressed S that time."
Yeah.
This is.
So,
Come on.
Yeah, I'm seeing kind of an incoherent set of risk rewards at this point. What about pacing? Pacing is actually rising over time.
It is.
Yep.
It's hard to tell if it's coherent or sensible because it started out very difficult, and it's getting harder, but I don't know how much harder, because it's almost impossible to actually
play it to get to, yeah. Okay.
Am I stuck, or am I... Yeah, I got... Oh, there we go. Cool.
So let's then talk about tutorial. So actually, I think they did a fairly good job at the tutorial. Like, we're still kind of learning elements with these blocks.
Wait, how am I... Okay, you know what? I'm going to skip to the next level.
A gradual explanation of gameplay and controls that is aligned with play, I think, at this point. Perhaps not fully aligned with play, because we're struggling a little bit to identify a risk and reward, but you are playing it to learn these things. Very nice.
Yeah, there
Let's
we go.
talk about a core dynamic. What do you think the core dynamic in this game is?
Frustration.
That's never a good thing to be, as a game. Yeah, no. Possibly puzzle, spatial reasoning, right?
I think,
I would say
yeah, spatial reasoning.
Let's see what they say.
Like, you jump here and the floor disappears. You can no longer see where you're landing. That is a very big...
Well, this is interesting. So the game's...
about what that might be.
According to their course notes, the game's primary core dynamic is collection. Because of the coins scattered throughout the levels that elevate the difficulty through the use of game mechanics and problem solving.
I finished a level.
A good job.
I got one half of the coins.
One of the coins found. Okay, so let's pause here, because this is actually really important, I think, to talk about. So they think that the core dynamic is collection, because of the coins scattered throughout the game, and as a secondary, they have a race dynamic to encourage. Is there anything here that says how long it took? No,
nothing.
I didn't think so. Okay, so
and
what we have here,
it would be very, very long.
Yes. So what we have here is a mismatch between both the mechanics and the information design and the core dynamic, right? So if collection was the core dynamic here, then there should be something on this screen, in fact, where it keeps track of how many coins you have. You have to make a clear risk reward around getting the coin or dying. Yeah. So on top of that, there should be some feedback around collection, right? A cha-ching sound would tell you that you're doing something good. So there's nothing that's kind of tied into the experience of collection in this game. Whereas the experience that we are very much experiencing right now is a spatial reasoning of how to get around and not die. Now, interestingly, the secondary, this race dynamic, well, a race implies that there is either a timer or another person that you are racing against, and there's nothing in this information design that has any of those things. So I think in this case, there's been an attempt at a core dynamic, but the primary mechanics detract from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think what I would say is it has a very clear core dynamic. They've just completely misunderstood what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so how about that? Let's ignore their statement and say, what is the core dynamic here? It is a puzzle game, or it's a spatial reasoning game. If we say that it is a clear core dynamic of a spatial reasoning game, it is actually then clearly supported by the mechanics of flipping gravity, moving those blocks around, some of which slide, some of which react to gravity.
Yeah, I would say that goes up to. I would say it goes up to an integrated set of mechanics here, but as they say, it's not a. They don't even put it as a secondary dynamic. So, misunderstanding a core dynamic that much is
pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think it is if we ignore their notes, it's a nice clear core dynamic that's integrated, that has supported by a set of integrated mechanics. But yep, that was a pretty poor showing in terms of misunderstanding your own core dynamic. So they're not going to be up there in terms of their mark.
No. I would like to go back towards the tutorialization. Here, we've got a little sign, and a ledge that you can't jump up. It says, if only you had something to stand on. This is on the last level. And we've been pushing these blocks around and jumping and using them to get over obstacles for the whole game. Why is this sign on the last level? This should have been on, like, the first, maybe second level. Look, you can use the blocks to jump higher. That...
Yeah, so I mean, in honestly, their tutorial is very much a gradual explanation of gameplay and control, somewhat aligned with play, really. Because you are playing it to get it, but it doesn't quite, they don't quite come in when you expect or need them to.
Yeah. No, god damn it.
Okay, let's talk about feedback on this particular game. So as part of this, they had to present to us the feedback they were given and what they did about it. So their feedback they received was to focus on our core dynamic, which they didn't seem to do, and make sure our design decisions supported said dynamic. To do this, we added complexity to our collectibles and focused on fluid movement that felt intuitive and rewarding to play. Secondly, we were told the mechanics of the game should support the core dynamic in some way. In response to this, we ensured that most of the collectibles were mainly accessible through clever use of mechanics. Right.
I guess.
So
that one was just hidden behind the end of the level, which feels cheap.
Yeah. To me, this one very clearly says that feedback was addressed, and we're somewhere between the changes have had limited success and somewhat successful.
I think very limited success. So they mentioned making the... I don't even need to do that. Like, here it's trying to... It gives me this block so I can use it to jump off here. I don't need to, though. I could just flip gravity. No. So yeah, they mentioned something about being told that they needed more intuitive controls.
Yep. And they didn't really get that, you're right. Yeah. You hate your controls, don't you, at this point?
Yes. It's so annoying. Which is never something you want to hear about a game's controls.
Yep. All right, so we will go with limited success for that one. And, you know, actually, I despite some of our dislike of, you know, we got the core dynamic wrong and the controls are actively angering you, I actually really like the idea behind this game. I think the concept itself is really nice. Because there was a miss on the core dynamic, I think that some of the mechanics could have been tied even closer. And in fact, to be honest, the integration of those mechanics was what the team did really well on.
Yeah.
And so we need to double down tighter on that core dynamic and really understand what it was.
Like, with a little bit of playtesting and shifting the controls.
It would have gone a long way. Yep.
It would have been great. I
Agreed.
will actually say, sorry, I was, distracted by the game. Did they actually have any success with their, that's why I can't jump, it's S. With their feedback?
So they were told to focus on their core dynamic, which they thought was collectibles. So they added complexity to their collectibles, which I've only seen a coin. What is the complexity there?
I cannot tell.
Yeah.
There's very few of them, and they seem to be fairly well hidden.
Yeah. They also then said they wanted to ensure that the collectibles were mainly accessible through clever use of their mechanics, which Yeah.
Of the ones I've seen, most of them are just you have to jump. Oh, come on. Most of them are just you have to jump to reach them, which. No, I'm gonna leave it on that screen. I'm not sure they've succeeded there either.
All right, so we're gonna say that the feedback was not addressed well, although some positive changes have been made. Okay, and I think please play test this game. I think it has the bones of a really good game, but there have been a lot of pieces that are that go sideways and detract from its playability. Great, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next game. All right, and for our final game for this batch is Sea Duels.
So unfortunately, the build submitted did not work, but we've got it working with the Unity project we were sent. So let's go.
Ahoy! Welcome to the ship, pirate.
Ooh,
Prepare
wow.
you for the adventure ahead. You need to know a few things. First, you will be in charge of defending the ship, so approach one of the cannons.
I will first massively lower my DPI because the sensitivity on this is enormous. Okay, approach one of the cannons.
Good! Don't shoot
Ooh.
yet, as you've got a limited number of bombs.
Okay. So what should I do?
Now, as our adventure
Okay.
progresses, you'll need to acquire more ammunition and upgrade our ship. Check out the chest for that. Mighty good.
Why?
There are upgrades.
I would have damaged somebody for a cost of 20. Sorry.
It says 20, but I don't see any sort of counter of.
How much we have?
Oh,
Oh no, pirate! Ships
Okay.
are approaching us looking to sink us. Quick, scallywag the cannons.
Scallywag the cannon. Oh crap. That is exceptionally loud. Oof. Okay, so this is.
Can you turn the volume down real quick?
Sure. Can I pause? What I will say, before we resume, they've put constraints on the mouse look for the player, which is always good, so you don't end up stuck spinning looking straight down. I think they're a little bit too constrictive. I think we could have done with a little bit more freedom because, so if I go back to here, for instance, I can't actually look at this barrel from here, and I feel like I should be able to stand quite away from it. Oh crap! It's also very sort of. I don't know whether this is because we're in the editor rather than a full build, but it's a little bit juddery. Okay, so that now what? Are they all gone?
Oh, you've got coinage.
Okay, so I've
You
got
can buy some
120 gold. Okay. So when I interact with the chest and then click the X, I need to press E again to. Wait, what is firing at? There we go. I need to
So
press
ships
E
can
to
come in and
so that
get
X
you
button
while-
doesn't quite work. You get stuck on there.
Okay.
But right, I have 140 gold. So wait, how much
looks
else do we
like
have left?
ships can come and attack you while you're interacting with the chest. Did I hear that correctly?
That does seem to be the case.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
26 bombs, 40 gold. Oh wow, this is. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that the really awkward moving and looking is hopefully just because we're running it in the editor, but yeah, this is frustrating. Okay, so we just sort of stood here. Nothing is happening.
I will walk the plank.
Can I? There's no jump. Oh, I can sort of climb up the edge of these though. Oh, can I get off the boat? Yes, I can.
Whoa!
Oh, it puts me back on.
Right back on the boat.
They've
Nicely done. Nicely.
Well, yeah. If you've got a bug you can't fix, then just teleport them back on. That works.
Are there any more ships coming, or did we like solve this problem?
I think we've won.
Oh, and now we're just here?
It looks that way. Maybe I have to talk to the captain. Can I talk to you? Wait, he's stood here. That ring I thought was his eye. I thought he was a robot.
I thought it was his eye too.
Okay, I'm gonna restart this.
All right, while you
so
do that,
we
I'm
can
going to
talk about it a bit
start
more.
the Marx criteria. So we will talk a little bit about
Ahoy, welcome
quality.
to the ship, pirate.
So we're going to talk about graphics, audio, and
Ready
information
for the
design.
adventure ahead.
The
You need
graphics,
to know
the
a few
graphics are kind of
things.
sweet, although they're a little juddery. The audio,
First, you will be in charge of defending the ship.
good attempt. There's
So
some
approach one of the
interesting
cannons.
narration there, and I actually kind of like that somebody's talking to us. Like it actually feels part of this story as opposed to just some letters on a screen. So I actually really enjoy the audio component of this.
Yes, and again, I would say graphically, the only thing I don't like about this is these yellow blocks. I don't know why the blocks under the cannons are yellow. If they were just like brown or just almost any other color to fix in, if they were gray, that it would match much nicer with the aesthetic. But yeah, visually, I think
We're
it's
being
quite
picky
nice.
about yellow blocks now.
Yeah,
So I actually think we're very professional at this point in terms of the graphics and the audio. And in fact, I think, to be honest, the audio is going to take us up towards impactful.
yes. For these cannons
Good,
are
don't shoot yet, as you've got a limited number of
the
bombs.
sound of the shots
now, as our
are
adventure progresses, you'll
quite
need
nice.
to acquire more ammunition and upgrade our ship. Check
Okay,
out the chest
there's this
for
little,
that.
a very small, I would say actually, there's a very small graphical error here where these two bits don't line up, but you could argue it's just, it's an old ship. It's
Old
falling
ship. We're going to
apart.
argue that. We will absolutely argue that. Okay, let's talk about
Oh, crap.
meaningful play, which includes mechanics, controls, and bugs. You've talked a little bit about how they put some controls on the mice. We haven't found any major bugs at this point except for the X as you clear out the menu.
Yeah.
Mechanic-wise, you can shoot other ships, and you have a resource balancing problem between the gold, the health, and the damage that you can do, right? The number of bombs. So, so in this case, I actually think that we are. Well, let's have a quick little chat. So let's start us at. There are multiple mechanics. How do the controls feel? Are they smooth controls or are they usable controls?
They are incredibly not smooth, but again, I can't tell if this is because it's in the editor or not.
Right.
So what I'll say is after we're done with this, I will rebuild it on here and see if that improves the smoothness. But at the moment, they are janky as hell.
Yep. Okay. So that's not great. In terms of the mechanics, we've actually got multiple different types of mechanics between the moving about and the shooting with the aiming, and then the resource management problem. So I think we're maybe a step down from engaging because of the control problem. But I think the mechanics are nicely done.
Yeah, and I would say, yeah, there's this one small bug, but that's the only one I can find, and that I think. Quick check. Okay, it's not that my computer is being overloaded by anything, so that's not an issue with my machine ruining the game. Come on, I'm just trying to climb up on top of this. See if I can get up to the captain.
All right, well, you do that. We're going to talk about fulfilling the brief, which includes level design and pacing. So that's goals, risks, reward, and pacing. So the goal here is very much, I don't know, what is the goal? Is the goal to get the most coins? Is it to kill all the ships?
It's not. I think what they were trying to go for was survival, because again, you've got this sort of, the ship has an amount of health, you're trying to fend off waves of attack, you get money that you can either spend on making it easier to, you've got like an ammo limit, and then you have to balance, in theory, how much health you have and how much ammo you have to defend the ship. So if I was to guess, I would say this is a survival game with maybe a secondary, the core dynamic is survival with a secondary of destruction.
All right, well, let's jump to core dynamic. Then we can talk about that now.
Oh, sorry. I got totally lost there.
That's okay. You were playing the game. We can jump to core dynamic, and let's see what they say in their core dynamic, right? Because I'm kind of with you. I think this is a survival game. Oh, interesting. Okay, they think their core dynamic is destruction. Now, in this case, I think this is a clear problem where the elements around information design and the mechanics I've chosen do not actually add up to destruction. So, for example, if this was a destruction game, you should have many different types of destruction, right? You should be throwing bombs, you should be throwing fireballs, there should be arrows, there should be flame, there's lots of different types of destruction to choose from. And the point, all the feedback from the game should be things like whooshing noises and blowing up noises and, lots of death and destruction noises. And you should have a counter up here about how many ships are destroyed. So there's nothing here that says that the information that's presented to us is all about our health, how much ammo we have, and how many coins we have, not about how many ships were actually destroyed, right? Which is why
I reached him. Sorry.
It's okay. Which is why Callum and I both went to this is actually a survival game, because particularly that choice around resource management of health, coins, and ammunition is very much around, survival. So I think there's a mismatch between what they think the core dynamic is and what has been designed into the game for their mechanics and information design. So let's see, what does that get us to? So in this case, so this is just like our other one. So if we go with what they have said their core dynamic is, then they haven't attempted a core dynamic that's not well supported by the primary mechanics. Whereas if we accept our core dynamic, then I think we have a clear core dynamic that is supported by the primary mechanics. So we're kind of somewhere between the two of those, I think, based on what is and what they kind of expected it to be.
I think this is something that a lot of groups struggle with initially is working out what their dynamic actually is, even if they've done a very good job of supporting that.
Yeah, any core dynamic, exactly. Oh, interesting. And in their coursework, just for you, when building the project, the game crashed upon opening, but it works perfectly in the editor. Make sure scene main menu screen is loaded before playing it in the editor. Okay. So that's exactly what you did. And I'm sorry I didn't see this note earlier before you debugged that yourself.
That's fine.
The other thing, while I'm looking at the game notes, I want to put some kudos out there. I highly appreciate they very clearly listed the assets used. And I appreciate that you gave credit where credit is due. So let's go back to the marking scheme, and we're going to go back to level design, which includes goals, risks, rewards, and pacing. So let's talk about pacing first. Seems easier in this case. Yeah.
So I don't want to start again because the narration will make it.
Hard to talk. That's fine.
But yeah, so you've got the first wave has owned like 1 or 2 ships,
Yeah.
and then the next couple, like I think at one point it gets to the point where you have 4 ships around you. It is very easy. Like they're not hard to hit and they die instantly. So there's not much difficulty here, but it does increase.
So tension somewhat rises over time.
Yeah, and then obviously it immediately drops because the game ends. But you know, we have.
So let's talk about goals, risks, and rewards at this point. So the goal here is don't. It's funny because I mean this kind of comes back to the core dynamic discussion we had. To me, if the goal is survive, that means you need health and you need to be able to kind of keep the things from damaging you, right, by destroying them, by killing them. I don't see any risks or rewards, really. I mean, there's an interesting tension here where you could have had risks and rewards where, oh, you might run out of ammo. But so you could maybe tie, there's very little ammo that's very powerful. Like, so it might be that instead of killing a ship with 1 shot, you could kill it with 1 shot with a really powerful ammo, or you have to take 10 shots with a weak ammo, and then you have this interesting risk and reward about, do you spend your money on the very big ammo, or do you just buy lots of cheap little ammo that you have to shoot a lot of? That's a very clear risk and reward, but I don't see any risks or rewards in this particular game.
No, yeah, I agree entirely. There's one route to take, and that's it. Which, in this case, I don't think would necessarily be the worst thing, but it really could do with that sort of varied approach. Even if I would have to restart to when the ships appear, initially they're just sort of sailing towards you, and then they turn around, and that's when they start firing the cannons. Even if you just had something to, like, it's much easier to hit the ships while they're shooting at you. So you could potentially say, well, you can try and kill them before they start attacking, but it's a long way away and you will waste ammo.
Yep.
But if you wait till they get too close, then you take damage.
Now that's a really good goal, like risk and reward idea there, and it's not what we've seen.
Gonna have to restart the game now because technically there is that to some extent, but the issue with it is.
Welcome to the ship, pirate.
All right, can I speed run the tutorial?
Few things.
No.
First, you will be in charge of defending the ship, so approach one of the cannons. Good, don't shoot yet, as you've got a limited number of bombs. Now, as our adventure progresses, you'll need to acquire more ammunition and upgrade our ship.
So I'll say that they instead of incoherent, I'm going to say they've got. Sorry, instead of no series.
Why is this wave 2? So you can see they do start further apart. The issue is they're still really easy to hit.
Yeah.
Because the sails are massive, and hitting the sails counts as a hit.
Yep.
Whereas maybe it doesn't. Oh, hitting the mast does. But they're still very easy to hit because you don't need to hit the front of them or any specific area. Like you can break the mast and it kills them instantly. Wave will start in 20 seconds. I mean, it'd be nice to have a countdown, but yeah.
All right, let's talk about the tutorial elements.
Okay.
So in this case, so I really actually like the audio version of this tutorial. I love it. It's different. A lot of people, instead of just telling you with words on, little pictograms, right? I like that there's this auditory element. The question becomes, though, is Is there a gradual explanation of gameplay and control revealed as you play?
I would say no, because it explains everything at the start, and then the game begins, right? If it would say it says, okay, here's how the cannon works, here's an enemy ship, shoot it, and now you've earned some gold, go over here, get an upgrade. Yep. That would be like showing you bit by bit, but although it's done, it's voiced, and it's very nicely done for the way it is. It's still effectively, here's a dump of how the game works, now play.
Yep, agreed. So I think this is very much some explanation of gameplay and controls, and I think I'm going to bump it a little bit because of how nicely that audio is done, but we're very clearly down in that category. Agreed.
I must say, I think it's a shame that they didn't make more use of the sort of the captain talking. Like if when the ships appeared, he called out, it's whether they're starboard or port.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been lovely.
It really would have. And would go with this goals of risk and reward, right? So you have 2 on the starboard, but 1 close on the port, right? So you can decide, am I going to go to port or am I going to go to starboard? Like, there's some really interesting things that could have been done there. So let's talk about feedback and response. So we inquired about proper ways to balance and get a feel of the gameplay itself, following which we were advised to be engaged in play testing. As such, we both personally tested the game and gave available game testers a test of the game. After these tests, we had a better idea to understand what were the challenges the player faced and how they could add or remove previous features, which gave the game, made the game punish the players instead of giving them a sense of satisfaction. So
sorry, I'm just trying to see if I can. Oh, what? Oh, right. It's open for a folder. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, well, that is it. That is the feedback itself.
Oh, okay.
So it's possible that they were. I'm kind of trying to understand what feedback they were given. Beyond, do some play testing, which might be around the balance of kind of this goals, risks, rewards, which definitely we are not seeing in this. But it does sound like they try to identify what mechanics were on board. So it sounds like feedback was not addressed well, but some positive changes have been made.
Yeah, I think I probably agree with you there. Again, I don't think I saw this during the lab. So does it say that? Sorry, did it say that this feedback was from the lab or from playtesters?
No, it doesn't. So all of the feedback came from playtesters. Now, whether they took it to playtesters because of feedback they had in the lab it's not very clear.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely several games several groups who were in the lab that I just didn't talk to because other demonstrators were covering it, so I wouldn't be able to say about that. But yeah, I agree, it doesn't, they've not quite managed to pull that off.
No, agreed. So I think there are definitely core elements of this game that are really fun, and I think that recognizing what the core dynamic of this game currently is, whether it's what you want to keep it or not, and enhancing that is probably the place to start if you want to continue making this game wonderful, because the bones are there.
Okay, cool. We've got a new
all right, thanks for playing.